The Seven Dials Mystery, Chapter 27, A Night to Remember. Jimmy Thesiger arrived at Leatherbury on a sunny afternoon. Lady Coote was very happy to see him, but Sir Oswald did not like him at all. Jimmy knew that Lady Coote wanted him to fall in love with someone, so he spent a lot of time being extra nice to a woman named Socks Daventry. O'Rourke was also there and was in a very good mood. Socks asked him many questions about the strange things that happened at the Abbey. O'Rourke was supposed to keep the truth a secret because he was an official. However, instead of staying quiet, he told wild, made-up stories so that no one could guess the real truth. "Did 4 masked men with guns really come?" Socks asked. "Actually, I remember 6 of them now," O'Rourke joked. "They held me down and forced me to drink something. I thought it was poison and that I was going to die." "What did they try to steal?" Socks asked. "The Russian crown jewels," O'Rourke lied. "They were brought here secretly by plane to be put in a bank." "You are a terrible liar," Socks said calmly. Lady Coote was still worried. "I saw 2 guns myself," she said. "It is a miracle that Jimmy wasn't killed." "Oh, I'm sure I'll die in some other way," Jimmy joked. Lady Coote then talked about a beautiful Russian woman who was also at the Abbey. She felt sorry for the woman and wanted to donate money to help. Sir Oswald just made a grumpy noise, but his assistant, Mr. Bateman, promised to write it down. "I have always been afraid of burglars," Lady Coote said. "It sounds exciting to meet one," Socks said softly.
"It isn't exciting," Jimmy said. "It's very painful." He carefully touched his right arm. "How is your arm?" Lady Coote asked. "It's mostly better now," Jimmy replied, "but it has been very annoying. I've had to do everything with my left hand, and I'm not very good at it." "Every child should learn to use both hands perfectly," said Sir Oswald. "Oh," said Socks. She was a little confused. "Is that like a seal?" "No, that is amphibious," Mr. Bateman corrected her. "Ambidextrous means you can use your left hand and your right hand equally well." "Can you do that?" Socks asked Sir Oswald with surprise. "Yes," he answered. "I can write with either hand." "But can you write with both at the same time?" "That would not be useful," Sir Oswald said quickly. Mr. O'Rourke joked it would be great for the government if the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. He claimed he could only use his right hand, but Mr. Bateman noticed that O'Rourke used his left hand to play cards. Soon a loud bell rang and everyone went upstairs to change their clothes for dinner. After dinner, the older adults played a card game called Bridge. Jimmy spent the evening talking and joking with Socks. Later that night, Jimmy heard Sir Oswald tell his wife Maria that she was not a very good card player. 2 hours later, when the house was dark, Jimmy walked quietly down the stairs. He did not want anyone to hear him. He went into Sir Oswald's office, or the study. Jimmy wanted to find a secret paper about a new invention. He used a small piece of wire to pick the locks on the desk drawers. He looked through every drawer very carefully. He made sure to put everything back exactly where he found it, so no one would know he was there. He locked all the drawers again. He knew Mr. Bateman was very smart and would notice if anything was moved. "Nothing there," Jimmy whispered to himself. "Maybe I will have better luck tomorrow." He left the room and locked the door. For a second he thought he heard a noise nearby, but he decided it was nothing. He walked through the dark hall, using the light from the tall windows to see where he was going. Jimmy heard a soft sound again. This time he was sure. He was not alone in the hall. Someone else was moving very quietly, just like him. Jimmy's heart started beating very fast. Suddenly, Jimmy jumped to the light switch and turned on the lights. The bright light hurt his eyes for a second, but then he saw who it was. Standing only a few feet away was Rupert Bateman. "My goodness, Pongo!" Jimmy cried. Pongo is his nickname for Rupert. "You scared me, walking around in the dark like that." "I heard a noise," Mr. Bateman said seriously. "I thought there were burglars, so I came down to check." Jimmy looked at Mr. Bateman's shoes. They had rubber soles, which made them very quiet. Jimmy also noticed a large shape in Mr. Bateman's pocket. "You think of everything, Pongo," Jimmy said kindly. "You even brought a weapon." "It is good to be prepared," Bateman replied. "You never know who you might meet." "I'm glad you didn't shoot me," Jimmy joked. "I'm tired of being shot at." "I could have shot you," Bateman said. "That would be against the law," Jimmy answered. "You have to be sure someone is a criminal before you shoot. You can't just jump to conclusions. If you shot me, you would have to explain why you killed a guest who was just looking for a snack." "Why did you come downstairs?" Bateman asked. "I was hungry," Jimmy lied. "I wanted a biscuit." "There are biscuits in a tin by your bed," Bateman said. He stared at Jimmy very closely through his glasses. "That's the problem," Jimmy said with a fake smile. "The tin says biscuits, but when I opened it, it was empty, so I walked down to the dining room." Jimmy pulled a handful of biscuits out of his pocket to show he was telling the truth. "Now I'm going back to bed," Jimmy said. "Good night, Pongo." Jimmy went back to his room, and Bateman followed him. Bateman wanted to see the empty biscuit tin for himself. He walked into Jimmy's room, opened the tin, and saw it was empty. "Very strange," Bateman whispered. "Well, good night." After Bateman left, Jimmy sat on his bed and listened. "That was a narrow shave. A close call," he whispered. "Pongo is very suspicious. He never sleeps, and he walks around with a gun." Jimmy opened a drawer in his room. Underneath his neckties was a pile of biscuits. He had lied. The tin wasn't empty. He had hidden the biscuits in the drawer earlier. "Now I have to eat these," Jimmy sighed. "If Pongo comes back in the morning and sees the biscuits in the drawer, he will know I lied." Even though he wasn't hungry, Jimmy started eating the biscuits so he wouldn't get caught.